All right, so today we discuss about the subprograms, right? So now, before we talk about the subprograms, we need to know why we need a subprogram, right? So subprograms, in other words, we call it a function, right? We need the functions to execute some particular task in our program whenever we want, again and again, right? Now, so far in the control structures, we talk about this iteration. Now, if you think about the nature of an iteration happens to some particular amount of time or some particular amount of rounds, which is a continuous one, right? So either for 2 times, for 3 times, for 10 times, for 100 times. So it will happen as a contiguous one or a continuous one, right? So if 10 rounds to happen or 10 iterations to be happen, that happens like together, one after the other, right? Nothing else is going on in between, right? If the iteration has 2 steps, so those 2 steps will be repeat continuously the number of times that the condition is specifying. Now, function is something that you can use to repeat a particular code block or repeat a particular task, but not a continuous manner. If you want to continue it as a continuous manner, yes, still you can use the function, but here why we use the functions, it is because we need a particular code segment to be executed randomly, right? So we don't know how much or like how many times it will execute and when when it needs to be executed, right? So according to our requirement, according to the programmer's requirement, he may use the subprogram or the function whenever he need to run that specific code block, right? So function is a particular code block which we are going to use again and again in random manner. So that is why we can't handle this kind of a code block inside a repetition, because if you put it inside a repetition, it's going to happen together, right? Otherwise, we have to copy the iteration structure here and there, which is going to make a lengthier program and having code lines unnecessarily, which will result with a big number of amount in the source code, right? Again, eventually it will take the code into an inefficient manner, right? So what you have to remember about the functions, it's kind of a code segment which is going to happen again and again in a random manner, right? Now, when it comes to the Python, there are 2 types of subprograms or 2 types of functions. It is common for most of the programming languages. The first category is called built-in functions. Now, built-in functions means Python itself providing us some particular code segments which we can use to get our things done in a particular code, right? So we are not going to create the function. We are just using the function because it is already built in. When you are installing the Python, those functions will be installed into your computer as well. So whenever we want that, we can use that function. One famous function that we are using is the print function, right? So far we have called it as the print statement in most of the times. So it is a particular function. What's its function? It's always tend to write something on the screen which we are defining in between double quotes. Or if we are using a particular variable name, so then it's going to print the value of that variable on the screen. So that is previously said to the Python. So Python knows if the user use print function, then this is the task that we have to do. Now, actually, when we are using this print function like this, having things inside the brackets, we call it the calling statement of the function, right? So what we are actually doing is we are just calling for a particular functions to come on this particular place and do your thing and hand it over to the next line, right? So the task that should be done by the print function is written in somewhere else. We don't know where it is, but whenever we are calling, that means we are using the print function, it refers the instruction which is given by the Python and act according to that, right? So if I illustrate it to you in a graphical manner, how the things are really happening, right? So what I can show you is, now this, now this can be considered as your source code, right? You may have something and then you will use the print statement, right? Then some more, at some particular point, you may use the print statement. That means the calling statement of the function. So this print function is somewhere else. We don't know where it is actually, right? So this is the print function. So whenever we are calling this, Python refers here, and there will be some instructions for the function that will be performed, then we'll return to the next line. Right? So that is what we call function now. Now think about a place where you don't have the print function. Then to have the things on our screen, we have to write this code segment in the places where we call the print function again and again, right? So as an example, if you thought this print function is get 7 lines defined in the function, so those 7 lines will be repeated here again and again, right? So whenever we need to print, we are going to repeat these 7 lines as an example, I'm saying. So then you will see like this red color program has only 6 statements. So it's considered to be a code which has 6 lines. But if we do not have something like print function, instead of 1 line, we are going to have all 7 lines over here. And again, the same 7 lines over here, right? Which will make your program a very lengthy one and with unnecessary repetitions of the code. Repeat, right? So we can get rid of that when we have the facility called function. All right, people, how was it? Is that clear? හරි නිර්මාණ අපි මෙතන කතා කරන්නේ මේ functions ಜಾති දෙකක් තියෙනවා. එකක් built in function එක, ඒ කියන්නේ දැනටමත් හදලා තියෙන ඒවා. ඊළඟ එක තමයි user defined function. මේක අපි ඉස්සරහට කතා කරනවා. දැන් built in function එකක් වේවා, user defined function එකක් වේවා, function එක පාවිච්චි කරන්න නම් අපි function එකට call කරන්න ඕනේ. දැන් මේ මෙතන පෙන්නලා තියෙන්නේ මේ call කිරීම, calling statement. Calling to print function. right? එතන තියෙන්නේ එහෙම එකක්. ඒක call කරාම මොකද වෙන්නේ? මේ print statement එකේ මොකද්ද කරන්න ඕනේ කියන එක වෙනම තැනක ලියවිලා තියෙනවා. ඒක program එකෙන් පිට තැනක්. right? දැන් අපි කරනකොට නම් අපි එතන program එකේම අපි function එක define කරලා පෙන්නනවා. but built-in functions තියෙන්නේ අපේ source code එකෙන් එළියට. ඒතර මේක අපි print කරන්න කියලා කිව්වම print function එක ලිව්වම සිද්ධ වෙන්නේ මෙයායේ code එක තියෙන තැන මේ විදිහට refer කරනවා. refer කරලා ඒක ඇතුලේ තියෙන කියලා තියෙන දේවල් ටික සිදු කරලා ඊට පස්සේ ඊළඟ line එකට එනවා. ඕක තමයි සරලව සිද්ධ වෙන දේ. ඒතර I call කරොත් වෙන්නේ I ගිහිල්ලා මුල ඉඳලා print function එක කරලා නැවත ඊළඟ line එකට එන එක. තේරුණා?
හරි.
Right. Okay. Now that is the story about the built-in functions. Now built-in functions are somewhere else. It will be installed when the Python has been installed. Then when we need to call that, so it will go to the specific place and do the execution, then comes to the next line. Now when it comes to the user-defined functions, it should be created from the beginning by us. Us means who? By the programmers, the developers, right? Now again, the concept is same. There can be some particular list of codes where we need to use again and again in the program, right? So what are we going to do is we are going to create a function first, then we are going to access that function as much as we want, right? So that is what they have shown over here from the picture. So you can see they have defined the function like this. They use def as a keyword, def, it is a must. And then you have to give a function name. Now this name can be any name which we can use to define a particular variable, right? So same rule applies with the Python identifier. Then brackets are must. That those can be empty or sometimes they are filled with some stuff. But anyhow, brackets is a must. Then the colon, right? So here comes another place where we use the colon, right? So if it is end up with a colon, we know we need to indent the next line or the lines, the number of lines that we want inside the function, those will be indented, right? So this itself, so this is the function and the content of the function. This itself is called the function definition. Right. So having just a function definition will not serve your source code with the things that you have mentioned inside the function. Right? Function එක දේවල් කියන්නේ මේ මම රතු පාටින් සර්කල් කරලා තියෙන ටික විතරක් තිබ්බොත් අපිට function එක execute කරගන්න බෑ. Right? So to execute or to take a result from the function, we have to call it. Right? So how we are going to call it? By the name of the function. Right? Right? So those are the basic stuff that we need to remember. If you define a function, you have to call it, otherwise it won't work. Right? So how we are going to call it? We call it by using the name of the function. Right? So that name should be the exact name that you have used in the definition right over here. Right? So now we know how the function is defined and how the function can be called. Right? So here they have given you a particular example. Right? Now here it is saying def greet. So def means what? The keyword, it's a keyword. It is a must when we define in a particular function. Right? Then greet. Greet defines the function name. Right? And the brackets is a must. Right? And later you will realize you can put some things inside the brackets as well, which will help for you to get many different uses. Right? So def is must, put a space and the name of the function, put a space or not, have the brackets with them. Right, so what's happened over here? So they have defined the def greet, normal brackets, a colon, and inside the function, this is inside the function. So it says, hello, good morning. Right, so then calling from the outside of the function is shown here. Right, so what is the boundary of that? This is the boundary of the function. And this is your calling statement. Now, when it is being called, see, look how the names happen. Right, so here it is greet, and here it is calling greet. So once you call that, what will happen? This will reach over here and then execute this. Is that clear, people? How to define the function? How to call the function? Is that clear? Okay. So if you are not clear with it, just ask me, right? That's all you have to do. Right. So what will happen once the function is called? It will refer the def greet, right? Then it prints hello, good morning on the screen. Then that's it, because it is moved to the other end, or like the end of the program, there is nothing to show. Oh, Dilsara, Okay එනවා මම දැන් කරලා පෙන්නන්න පුතේ කොහොමද මොකක්ද එතන තියෙන වෙනස කියන එක. Right? Okay, so let me clear this and take the coding onto the Python. People, hold on a second. I need to plug this into the power. Hold on. All right, so here we go. Right. So I'm pasting the code over here. So now look at this. Now this is the program that we have in our book, right? So as I told you earlier, this is the definition of the function and this is the calling statement. I simply run this. Right, so you can see hello, good morning. Now, hello, good morning happens how? From this print statement. Now, I told you just the function definition is not sufficient to execute a function. How I'm going to show that is I'm going to comment this greet. the calling statement. Now this is the this was the calling statement. I have commented that. Now I'm saving it and I'm running this. So you can see nothing on my output here, right? So if I put a print statement over here, outside the function, so I'll put a save. If I run this, so outside the function will be working, right? That means this print statement works, but this does not. If I uncomment this, see, hello, good morning happens first, then outside the function happens next, right? So that means before it get print over here, this has happened. That's what I told. That's why I told you, without calling the function, Python won't do anything inside the function. Once it is being called, then Python interpreter will go and see whether there is a function called greet with nothing inside the brackets. So then it goes inside and say whatever, like do whatever they have said. Right? Oh, Dilsara, ඔතන තියෙන වෙනස දැන් දිල්සර අහන්නේ මේ මෙයාව ඒ කියන්නේ greet කියන එක්කෙනාව print කරලා අපි මෙයාව ගන්න එකේ නිකම්ම අපිට මෙයාව print කරලා ගන්න පුළුවන්. ඒකේ තියෙන වෙනස මොකක්ද කියලා. දිල්සර ඔතන තියෙන වෙනස තමයි usage එක. කියන්නේ මෙයාව use වෙන ප්‍රමාණය. දැන් මෙතන මේ hello good morning කියන එක ඔයාට උදාහරණයක් විදිහට උතන අරගත්තොත් ඒක pointless දෙයක් වෙනවා. මෙතන මම කොහොමද මේ act එක සිද්ධ වෙන්නේ කියන එකයි ඔයගලන්ට පෙන්නලා තියෙන්නේ. Now think about something like this, right? මම මෙතන තව print statement කීපයක් තියෙනවා කියලා හිතන්නකෝ. Sorry. Right, then there's if you want to get print these 3 lines, as you told, you can have these print lines over here, then we can easily print those things. Right, now think about a situation in your program. You need to print these 3 lines again and again in a random manner. Program එක එක තැනකදී ඔයාට උවමනා වෙනවා මේ print line තුනම නැවත print කරගන්න. හැබැයි ඒක එක වෙලාවල් වල එකම වෙලාවෙදී කරගෙන යන එකක් නෙවෙයි. So if we don't have this function, what we have to do is we have to copy this and paste it in the places where we want that. Right? So there will be some other things in between. Then maybe over here you may need to print it again, and some 2 lines are gone, then maybe over here you need to print it again. So there's without having these 12 lines, මෙතන lines 3යි මෙතන lines 3යි මෙතන lines 3යි එන්නෝනේ අපි print statement එක විතරක් පාවිච්චි කරලා කරන්නේ. එහෙම නැතුව අපිට පුළුවන් මේ def function එක define කරලා තියෙනකොට we can just call it like we called the greet. So මෙතන ඕනේ greet කියන calling statement එක විතරයි. Wherever you need to print those 3 lines, we call greet. Got it, dear Sarah? එතකොට අපේ program එකේ තියෙන lines ප්‍රමාණය අඩු කරගන්නවා. lines ප්‍රමාණය අඩු කරගන්නවා කියලා කියන්නේ program එක efficient වෙනවා කියන්නේ. Because the Python interpreter only have few lines to interpret. When we are repeating the same stuff, it will have a lengthier code. Is that clear, Dilsara? Right, so there is no difference of this print statement and this print statement. Print statement is always a print statement. The only difference is how we are going to use a particular code segment which is potential to repeat randomly in our code. Right, so what I need you to understand mostly is that a particular function will not work only with its definition. It must have a calling statement at the outside of the function. Right, is that clear, people? Right. Okay, great. All right, so moving forward. So here we are going to talk about parameter passing. Now, parameter is a new word for you, most probably, right? New word. So parameter means none other than the things that we are going to write inside this bracket of the function definition. So those are again variables, but when we are defining inside the functions, inside the brackets of the function definition, it is given a special name called parameters, right? So saying it as a variable, they have used a special name called parameters. Now, you can define a particular function with one or many parameters inside these brackets. And again, then when we are calling to this function, we need to send some values. We need to send some values to get a sign for the parameters that we have defined. Function definition එකේ parameters එකක් දැම්මොත් function calling එකේදී ඒ parameter එකට assign කරන්න value එකකුත් අපි යවන්න ඕනේ. How we are going to send the value? In the calling statement, we mention the value inside the brackets in the calling statement. So like here, they got def and the greet, the function name, and they got a particular parameter called name. That can be any kind of thing, X or Y or whatever the thing can be, could be here, right? So for the moment, they have taken it as the name, right? So inside the function, it says print. They asked to print hello and a comma. Then they concatenate the name. Again, it will be concatenate with a full stop and a good morning. Right? So look at the calling statement. They have given the name greet within brackets. They have sent the value as Paul. So it is a string that they are passing. So once this is happened, so once the calling is done, what will happen is Python interpreter will take this value and assign it to the variable name, right? So inside the memory, there will be a variable called name, and it has the value Paul, right? So when they are printing this, they print hello Paul, good morning, right? So that is how this output is generated. Is that clear, people?
generated and I to can know.
හරි නිර්මාණ මෙතන අපි කියන්නේ මේ කලින් අපි ෆන්ක්ෂන් එකේදී අපේ ෆන්ක්ෂන් එකේ මේ වරහන් ඇතුලේ මුකුත් ලියුන්නේ නැහැනේ නිකම්ම හිස් වරහන් දෙකක් තිබුණා. දැන් මේ වරහන් දෙක ඇතුලේ මේ විදිහේ දෙයක් ලියවිලා තියෙනවා. එක variable එකක් වගේ වැඩ කරන එකක් ෆන්ක්ෂන් එකක් ඇතුලේ ඒක පාවිච්චි කරන නිසා අපි අර කියනවා පැරාමීටර් එකක් කියලා. right? එතකොට මේ විදිහට ෆන්ක්ෂන් එක ඩිෆයින් කරාම def greet වරහන් ඇතුලේ name කියලා ඩිෆයින් කරාම ෆන්ක්ෂන් එකට කෝල් කරනකොට ෆන්ක්ෂන් එකේ නමයි වරහන් ඇතුලේ යම් අගයක් මේ name කියන කෙනාට ඇඳ ගන්න පුළුවන් යම් අගයක් අපි දෙන්න ඕනේ. එතකොට වෙන්නේ මේ දෙන අගය ෆන්ක්ෂන් එකේ පැරාමීටර් එක වෙලා තියෙන ඉලක්ක නමට assign වෙනවා. පැහැදිලි නිර්මාණ. Right? Okay. Now, before we go further than this, let's do our first program using a function. Right? I'll show you how to do the first program using a function. The same program. Right? This we have nothing much different. Right? So it's only a putting a particular program inside the function. Right? So now you can see in your book, our first program was taking two numbers together and at them and showing the total, right? So I took x as int input, saying enter number 1. And this is going to be enter number 2 and y. The very first flow chart we have done, right? And then we had total equals x plus y. Then we got the print statement. Saying total is total. Now, if I run this will work fine. Enter number 1, if I give 10, press enter, number 2 is asked, press enter, total is 30. Now, if someone asks you to write this inside a function, it's very easy thing that you have to do. You are going to write the function definition and put these lines inside the function. Simple as that. So I get def and I can give any name. So I give add num and the brackets and the colon. So inside that, x is defined like this, y is defined like this, total is defined like this, print is defined like this. Now, when I put my code inside a function, I should do something to have my output. What is the thing I have to do? I have to call this function to execute this thing. Now, if I save it like this, and if I run it, I won't be getting anything. Look at this. See, nothing is there. Right? And to get the execution of the function add num, we have to call add num. How we are going to call add num? Like this. Right? I'm sorry. No colon or no semicolons are there. All right, now if I save this and if I run it, then it will ask a number from me. So I give 10, then I give 40, then it says total is 50, and then the program is ended. Got that, people? How a particular program is going to put inside the function, which is very easy.
So add num කියන එක ගත්තේ
අපි add num කියලා ගත්තේ නිර්මාණ ඒක අපි කැමති නමක් අපි කරේ අපේ පළවෙනි ප්‍රෝග්‍රෑම් එක ෆන්ක්ෂන් එකක් ඇතුලේ දාලා වැඩ කරන්නේ කොහොමද කියලා පෙන්නපු එක විතරයි. එතනදී ඔයාලට add num කියන නම වෙනකොට ඕනම නමක් අරගන්න පුළුවන්. Clearද?
හරි සර් මෙතන ඇඩිෂන් එකක් කරන හන්ද සර් add num කියන එක ගත්තේ
නෑ මෙහෙමයි. නීතියක් නැහැ නිර්මාණ ඇඩිෂන් එකක් වෙන නිසාම add num ගත යුතුයි කියන එක. මම ඒක නිකන් පොඩි සෙන්ස් එකක් තියෙන වචනයක් දුන්නා විතරයි. ඔයාට ඕක def x කියලා ගන්නත් පුළුවන්. def x අකුර ඊට පස්සේ වරහන් කියලා වගේ වැඩේ කරගෙන යන්නත් පුළුවන්. තේරුණාද?
හරි.
Right. Okay. So now what I want you to do is, before that. Now, when it comes to the second program, it is saying the way that you can pass a particular value into this particular function, right? So here they have done the example as well. So def tweet, name is there. So they are going to print hello, name, and good morning. So name is taken as Paul. Right. So the output will give us hello, Paul, good morning. Right. So likewise, if we want, we can manage the function to have a better performance or to have a better result. Right. So if the function needs to have a parameter, ඒකත් තීරණය කරන්නේ ඕගොල්ලෝම තමයි parameter කොහොමද කියන එක ප්‍රශ්නෙන් විස්තර වෙලා තියෙන්න පුළුවන් from the question, or then you have to decide, right? So if the same program is trying to write into a function which takes two variables and add them together and showing us the total. So requesting part is going to happen from the main program. Then you are going to pass those values into the function, right? So in simple terms, these input statements will be at the outside. So it is out of the function. So the function, if the function needs to get to know about it, we have to tell it how this is going to work. Right? So in that case, we have to pass some particular value over here. Now, in this example, this is very simple. We take add now, we got two inputs, we total it, we are having the total being printed. Okay. Right, I want you to write these things, this particular thing onto your onto the place of your book where you are doing the flow chart and the pseudocode and the Python code. Right. Meanwhile, I'll get the other. I'm sorry, I need to show that to you. Then after I'll go for the other part. Right. Just excuse me for a moment because I'll take a drink now. Okay, are we done? Okay, one is done. How about others? Yes, is there anyone who is still writing? Right, so let's proceed. Now, in your question list, here, hold on, I'll take the question list. Right, I think the 17th question, yeah, see? Rewrite the first question, Python code inside a function named addNum, which has no parameters in the definition. Clearly show how the function will be called to have the desired output. So that is what we have done, right? So in next question, it says, rewrite the above function to take user inputs outside the functions and to have calculation and display the total inside the function. Now, what they are saying is, rewrite this program, this function, to have inputs, these two lines, at the outside of the function. Then these things happens inside the function. Right? Now, when you are requested to do this, we can understand how, okay, these two lines are going to stay somewhere over here. Right? So first we have to take the inputs. Then we are going to call the function to do the rest of the things. Now, these two are not going to stay here. Right? And addNum. Now, where to put the addNum calling statement? Yes, any suggestions, people? Now we are taking numbers from these two lines. Then addNum should be, yes, Lalindi, very good. After getting the inputs, then addNum should be there. So when the addNum is there, you are going to call to this particular point. Then they are going to have the total, which is equals to x and y. Then it says print total is and all these things. Right. So now, if we do this, if we run this, look what happens. I'll give 30, and I'll give 40, and my total will be shown as 70. Right? Now, in case, if I ask to pass the user inputs, or like pass the user given value to the function, right? So it will be a requirement of the program. So program is saying, okay, you take two inputs, and you pass those inputs into the function. Passing those inputs into the function. How you are going to write it? You take the inputs and you are passing the inputs to the function. Now, in this code, we are not passing anything. We are just calling it. If we are passing, the things should be inside these brackets. What we are going to pass. Yes, any suggestions? Okay, very good, Larindi. right? So if they are asking you to pass the values which you have collect outside the function, then what you have to do is the place that you can pass those things is the place where you are going to call the function. So then you can simply say x comma y over here, because you have taken one number to x and another number to y, right? And then now if I save this and if I run this, it will ask for a number. I'll give 10 and ask for a number 20. Then it's giving me an error. Why an error is here? Yes, what could be the reason? Now here it says adnum take 0 positional arguments, but 2 were given. මේ adnum කියන කෙනා ගන්නේ 0 positional arguments කියලා කියන්නේ ගන්නේ නැහැ කියන එක. Right? So what do we need to do? This error is there. It is because we are calling to a function which has 2 variables inside it, or like 2 parameters inside it. But the problem for the Python interpreter is not being able to found that particular function which 2 parameters inside this. Right? Again, adnum කියන function දැන් මෙතන error එක දෙන්නේ adnum කියන function එකට values දෙකක් දීලා තියෙනවා. හැබැයි එයා එක value එකක්වත් ගන්නෙ නැහැ කියලා. Right? Adnum taken 0 positional arguments කියලා කියන්නේ ඒකයි. adnum කියන function එක අරගන්නේ නැහැ එක parameter එකක්. නමුත් අපේ requirement එක මොකක්ද? එළියේ තියෙන values දෙක function එක ඇතුළට යවන්න කියන requirement එක තමයි අපේ තියෙන්නේ. Right? So how it's going to be? Since we are having 2 parameters passing, it's better that you got someone here to catch those things. Right? So we don't need to, and it is not a must, to have exact same name for this kind of function, right? You can take these values or receive these values in any kind of a letter or a word, right? That means if you say adnum a comma b, so x will be assigned to a, b, y will be assigned to b. Oh. Right? Now the problem is this. Here inside the function we have said add x and y. Sometimes it will work. You will realize why it is working when you are moving to the next topic. Local and global variables කියලා අපි කතා කරනවා. All right. So total equals x plus y is not the one that is going to stay there. It's going to be a plus b. Why we are having this? Because a gets the things from the x, a get the things from the x, b get the things, yes, b got the things from y, right? So then a and b will be added together. Then after, the total will be displayed. Okay, is that clear, people? එළියෙන් inputs දෙක ගන්නවා. ඒ ගන්න inputs දෙක ඇතුළට pass කරනවා. pass කරලා ඊට පස්සේ ෆන්ක්ෂන් එක ඇතුළේ තියෙන දේවල් ටික සිද්ධ කරන්න කියන දේ. Is that clear, people? Right. Okay. So this is going to be the answer for the next question. It says rewrite the above function to take user inputs outside the function and to have calculation and the displaying total inside the function. Right? So you will write that code and I'm going to tell you about the other things regarding the function, then you can try the 19th then after, right? So copy this down. Regarding the 18th question. 18th කියලා කියන්නේ අතරම ඔයගලගේ first question එක දාලා තමයි දැන් ඔය ටික ලියා ගන්න වෙන්නේ. Right, that first question එක බොහොම සරලව ඇඳලා පිටුවේ ගොඩක් ඉඳ තිබුණාට ඔය ටික ලියනකොට පිටුව කියනවා. Yeah. Larindi, you can use x and y without using a and b, but it will be much clearer to if we write it like this, because whatever we are collecting from the outside, that is for x and y, and later that x and y will be given to the a and b, so a and b are adding up together. Right, then දෙතනම xy තිබ්බම ඔයගලන්ට පස්සේ බලනකොට පොඩි conflict එකක් එනවා. මෙතන ඉන්න x මද මෙතන ඉන්නේ. يعني මෙතනත් x නිසාමද ax මද මෙතනත් දාලා තියෙන්නේ මෙතනත් y මද මෙතන ඉන්නේ කියන්නේ. Right, but you can write it like that though, right? No problem.
So අපේ කලින් ස්ටේට්මන්ට් එකක් ලිව්වේ පළවෙනි එක ගම ඒක කොහොමද උඩයි
නිර්මාණ
කලින් ස්ටේට්මන්ට් එක ලිව්වේ
කලින් ස්ටේට්මන්ට් එක ලිව්වේ කිව්වේ නිර්මාණ
ඒකේ ඇඩ්නම් යාර ඇඩ්නම් දාලා මේ අර පළවෙනි ප්‍රශ්නෙට උත්තර ලිව්වනේ අපි
ඔව්
ඒක එතකොට ඒකයි මේක වෙනස මේ මොකක්ද
වෙනස තමයි නිර්මාණ පළවෙනි එකේ තිබුණේ මේ දෙන්න ඇතුළේදීනේ මේ දෙන්න හිටියේ ඇඩ්නම් එක ඇතුළේ
ඔව් සර්
එතකොට ඇඩ්නම් එකට නිකන් කෝල් කරා එහෙම පැරාමීටර් පාසින් එකක් නැහැ කෝල් කරාම මේ x ට ඉන්පුට් එකක් ගත්තා මේ y ට ඉන්පුට් එකක් ගත්තා ඒ දෙන්න එකතු කරා පෙන්නුවා දැන් මෙතන මේ ප්‍රෝග්‍රෑමින් අප්‍රෝච් එකයි වෙනස් වෙන්නේ හොඳයි මේකේ කියනවා ඉන්පුට් ගන්නේවා ෆන්ක්ෂන් එකෙන් එළිය ගන්න එළිය අරගෙන ඒ කිය එළිය ගන්න දෙන්න ෆන්ක්ෂන් එක ඇතුළට පාස් කරන්න right මේක මේ එහෙම කරන්න පුළුවන් කියලා පෙන්වන මෙතඩ් එකක් විතර නිර්මාණය වෙනවා අනිවාර්යෙන් මේක කළ යුතුයි කියලා එහෙම එකක් නැහැ right يعني එකම ඇල්ගොරිතම් එක ඔයාලට අප්‍රෝච් කරන්න පුළුවන් විවිධ ක්‍රම කියන එක තමයි උතන කතා බහ වෙන්නේ තේරුණා
හරි සර්
හරි Let me know when you're done, people. Okay, one is done. How about others? Yes, anyone who is still writing this? Right. So moving forward.
These are grapes.
Okay, I'll have one. Thank you.
You're welcome. Your Majesty. 1, 2, 3. No.
Right.
What should I do?
Okay. So the next part is about the ways that we can pass the parameters. Now, in the previous example and the example that we have done, we saw how the parameters can be passed. So function definition will tell how many parameters that particular function can take. And inside the function calling, so we have to pass the values which is equal to that number of parameters in the function definition, right? And this is about a way that you can pass the parameters. So here the difference is we can bind the values to the parameters when we are passing it. Earlier we didn't bind the values to the specific parameters when we are passing it, but here we are going to bind the parameters. See how it happens. So now there is a function called print info. So def keyword is here. Print info is the function name. It is taking two variables, which is a name and the age. And inside the function, they got two print statements saying print name and a colon will be printed, then the name will be printed, and then in the other line age printed, then the value for the age is printed. So look at the calling statements. Print info is called. First it is with 50, then it is with Mickey. So the first value is 50. Second value is Mickey. Right? So what will happen? This first value will be assigned to the name. And the second value will be assigned to the age. Right? So in the Python program, the program itself will not identify what is the name and what is the age could be. Right? It is just talking about, it's just taking the values in an order. First value is for the first parameter. Second value is for the second parameter. Third value is for the third parameter, likewise. So this function has two parameters, age, name and age. So name will be taken, 50 will be taken as the name and Mickey will be taken as the age, which is why over here, the output got differ. Name colon 50 is there, age Mickey is there. Right? Then in the second calling, can you see that? They have used something like this. Age equals 50, comma, name equals Mickey. Right? So here they have specifically said in the calling statement, age is 50, the age parameter will have 50 as 50 and the name parameter will have Mickey, right? So for that reason, the second calling statement will print name with the particular name and age with the particular age. Is that clear, people? How to bind the parameters, how to bind the values with the parameter. නිර්මාණ මෙතන අපි කතා කරන්නේ දැන් අපි එකකට වඩා පැරාමීටර්ස් තියෙනකොට ෆන්ක්ෂන් එකේ අපි මේ ෆන්ක්ෂන් එක කෝල් කරනකොට වරහන් ඇතුලේ පැරාමීටර්ස් වලට අගයන් යවන්න ඕනේ. ඒ යවන අගයන් අපි නිකන් ක්‍රමාවකින් වෙන් කරලා දැම්මොත් සිද්ධ වෙන දේ තමයි මුලින්ම යන අගය මුලටම තියෙන variable එකට assign වෙනවා. දෙවෙනියට තියෙන අගය දෙවෙනියට තියෙන variable එකට assign වෙනවා. Right? ඉන්න දිල් සර මම එන්නම් එතනට. එතකොට මෙතන පෙන්නලා තියෙන්නේ නිර්මාණ එහෙම මේ අපි values එහෙම පාස් කරනකොට يعني එකකට වඩා වැඩි ප්‍රමාණයකට පාස් කරනකොට මුලින්ම දෙන වැලියු එක මුලින්ම දෙන variable එකට assign වෙනවා කියන එක තමයි මුලින් පළවෙනි calling statement එකෙන් පෙන්නලා තියෙන්නේ. මොකද පළවෙනි calling statement එකේ තියෙන්නේ 50, Mickey කියලා. ඒක 50 කියන කෙනා තමයි assign වෙන්නේ age කියන variable එකට. Mickey තමයි assign වෙන්නේ sorry 50 assign වෙන්නේ name කියන variable එකට Mickey assign වෙනවා age කියන variable එකට. මොකද 50 මුලින් තියෙන නිසා සහ Mickey කියන එක දෙවෙනියට තියෙන නිසා. හැබැයි එතනදී අපේ expected output එක නෙවෙයි නිර්මාණය වෙන්නේ. එතන දෙන්නේ ඒක පිළිවෙලට අරගෙන. අපිට ඔහොම දෙයකදී පුළුවන් මේ යම් කිසි අගයක් function එකේ parameter list එකට assign කරලා යවන්න already. right දැන් මෙතන print info කියලා function එකට call කරලා තියෙනවා. function එක ඇතුලේ කියලා තියෙනවා age equals 50. ඒ කියන්නේ 50 කියන එක age ට assign කරන්න. right then Mickey equals name. Mickey කියන value එක අනිවාර්යෙන් name කියන variable එකට assign කරන්න. එතකොට එහෙම වුණොත් අපිට ගැටලුවක් නැහැ. එතකොට output එක හරියට එනවා name කියන කෙනාට Mickey, age කියන කෙනාට 50. Clear the Nirvana? Right. Okay, and others, please, if you got any questions, it's time for you to ask, right? Don't worry about like whether it is a silly question or not, right? Just figure that out. All right, now your task is the 17th question. No, the 18th one. No, not the 18th, actually the 19th. Rewrite the above function to take user inputs outside the function and to perform calculate inside the function. Yes. Here you should have another particular knowledge regarding the return statement, right? So you won't be able to do it until then, right? So I may go from some other example over here. Right now, let's do it like this. Yes. Yeah, let's do it like this. You need to rewrite the second program, right? The second program inside a function, right? So write down the question. I'll read you the question, right? So rewrite Python program of the second question. Rewrite the Python program of the second question using a function named let's say .av, TOTAV. Function name is TOTAV, .av. ekavachanaya. A function named .av. Right, you need to rewrite the second program in a function called .av. And you have to show how that can be called as well.
So දෙවැනි කෝඩ් එක නෙලියන දෙවැනි ප්‍රෝග්‍රෑම් එකනේ.
Develop programs. Oh. Let me show you the second program from here. Yeah, this is the flow chart for the second program. People, just give me a second.
He's following you.
Yes.
It's not stopping. I thought he's following you. What are you doing here? Shadowing.
Right, Dilsara, I received your answer. Let me see. Very good. Yes, Dilsara, that should be the way. Very good. Right, how about others? Lalindi, let me see. Oh, yes, that's right. Very good. Yes, good. That should be good. That should be very good. Very good. And yeah, Dilsara, අහලා තිබ්බේ ප්‍රශ්නේ කලින් එකට අර plus name plus කියලා දැම්මයි කියලා. එතන දිල්සර name එක අපිට එන්නේ string එකක් විදිහටනේ. ඒතර අපි strings ටික එකට එකතු කරන්නේ තමයි plus mark එක දැම්මේ. Mihin, you have to send me the Python code. Okay, people, I'll give you another 3 more minutes, then we'll discuss this. Right, it's nothing very big, something very similar to the second program that you have written. I only need to see whether you have understand the concept of function, that's all. Function එක ඇතුළේ ලියන්න කිව්වම මේක ඕකේද එච්චරයි බලා ගන්න ඕනේ. Right, Nirmana, let me see. Nirmana, වෙලා තියෙන වැරද්ද තමයි එකක් ඔයාගේ අර indentation කියන එක පුතේ maintain වෙලා නැහැ. ඒ කියන්නේ def total av වරහන් colon කියන එක පොඩ්ඩක් තව වම් අත පැත්තට වෙන්න ඕනේ. නැත්නම් indentation පේන්නේ නැහැ පැහැදිලිව. Right, ඒකයි total එකයි av එකයි අතර හිස්තරක් තියන්න එපා. එහෙම වුණොත් ඔයාගේ naming වල syntax error එකක් එනවා. ඒ දෙක එකට ලියවෙන්න ඕනේ. calling function එකෙත් ඒකමයි සිද්ධ වෙන්න ඕනේ. Right, ඒ දේවල් ටික හදාගන්න. එච්චරයි තියෙන්නේ. Okay, shall we discuss this? Do you want any more time? Okay, Mihin. I'll give you 3 minutes more. Right. Meanwhile, others, I'm writing this question for you. Rewrite the above program. That means program number 2, which you have just written. Take inputs, to take numbers at the outside of the function and the rest of the source code numbers at the outside the function and rest of the coding within the function to have same result. Right, give this a try. People who have done the first one, right? It's something very parallel we have done regarding the first question, right? Yes, Mihin, I have received yours. Let me see. Yes. Yeah, average should be within the brackets, Mihin, and please maintain the indentation. ඒක පහළට යනකොට ටික 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 පිටිපස්සට යනවා කරන්න එපා. එකම rule එක maintain කරගන්න. Then again Mihin, total AV is a single word. Total එකයි AV එකයි අතර හිස් තැනක් තිබ්බොත් syntax error එකක් එනවා. මොකද අපිට එහෙම අපිට Python වල name එකක් අරගන්න බෑ with the spaces, right? Okay, so please write this question that I'm going to do the first one. Mihin, in the call-in function, I'm telling you, in the call-in function, Buddha. Careful. Suhara, be careful. After that, this one, Susu. Oh, Jinani, Dua, we were doing the second question. Where I was asked to write the second question inside a function, using a function. The function name was tot av, inside the function called tot av. The second question, Dua, right? And then I have given this. Rewrite the same question. There you can have inputs at the outside the function.
සාර පළවෙනි ප්‍රශ්නේ වගේ ඒකෙත් දෙකක් කරේ දෙවෙනි එකනේ
No, ඒ වගේ තමයි. Yes. Right, I'm going to show you the first part of this. So your requirement is to take 3 numbers and add them. Right, so function name is, I told you, take it as tot av. So this is tot av, and yeah, this should be the answer for the first question. That means I ask you to write the second question in a function called tot av, which should be that particular format. Right, so if you got any mistakes, please make it, and then if you are done, you can try the second question. Right, let me see. Lalendi, I received the second answer. Okay. Yes, very good, Dua. Very good. Yes, yes. Dilsara Kobalamu. Hari. Very good, Dilsara. Very good. Okay, if you got anything incorrect in the first question, that means actually the second question's code, please make them correct. And for the people who have done that, the second question is there on the board at your right hand side. I'll give you another 3 minutes, then we'll discuss it. Some have already sent me their answers. If you got anything difficult, you can ask always, people. Right, Nirmala, me? Ah, yes. Okay, all right. මෙතන නිර්මාණ දැන් ඔයා XYZ එළියේදී ගන්නකොට ෆන්ක්ෂන් එක ඇතුළට එළියේ තියෙන XYZ අරගන්න එළියෙන් එක පාස් වුණා නම් හොඳයි. මෙහෙමත් ප්‍රෝග්‍රෑම් එක කරන්න පුළුවන්, ගැටලුවක් නැහැ. right, හැබැයි අපි සාමාන්‍යයෙන් ප්‍රැක්ටිස් එක වෙන්නේ එළිය ගන්න දේවල් ටික ෆන්ක්ෂන් එක ඇතුළට පාස් කරන එක. එතකොට ඔයාට වාගේ ෆන්ක්ෂන් එකේ එක කොටසක් විදිහට, ඒ කියන්නේ ෆන්ක්ෂන් එකට පාස් වෙලා එන පැරාමීටර්ස් විදිහට XYZ වල අරගන්න වෙනවා. right? clear the නිර්මාණ?
ඔව් සර් මේ ක්‍රමයේ ලිව්වොත් වැරදිද?
නෑ, මේ ක්‍රමයෙන් ලිව්වොත් වැරදි නැහැ. නමුත් අපි සාමාන්‍යයෙන් ග්ලෝබල්, අපි දැන් ඊළඟට කරන්න ඉන්නේ ග්ලෝබල් ලෝකල් variable scope එක ගැන. එතකොට ආර තේරෙයි always local scope එකක් තිබ්බනම් lazy function එකට, ඒ කියන්නේ function එක වැඩ කරන විදියට යාව lazy. global එකක් තිබ්බොත් වැඩිපුර එක පාවිච්චි කරන්න වෙනවා.
සර් මේ වෙනස් කරන්න ඕන කොහොමද? ෆන්ක්ෂන්
වෙනස් කරන්න ඕනේ එළියේදී ගන්න ඉන්පුට්ස් ටික ඇතුළට පාස් වෙනවා කියන තැනට තමයි චේන්ජ් කරන්න ඕනේ.
හරි සමාන.
ඒ කියන්නේ calling statement එකේදී එළියෙන් ගන්න ටික function එකට පාස් කරන්න. Yes, Jinani, now this is not a problem doer, this is not an incorrect one. What you have written is correct. It will give you the answer. The problem is not the problem. The way that we are using this is the things that we use or things that we collect outside the function will be passed to the function for it to get use. එළියෙන් ගන්න නිසා ඒක ඇතුළට පාස් කරන්න ඕනේ. Right? And it's much better if I describe it in my question. Rewrite the above program to take numbers at the outside of the function and pass it to the function. I'll put this in bracket. Pass it to the function and calling. right? So likewise. Right, so the xy is said, it's better you pass it to the function. So function will catch that. So to catch the past variables, you should have the some particular variables in the function, or like some particular parameters in the function definition. Right. So anyone who is still doing the second part? Okay, Mihin, keep it up. I'll give you another 3 minutes.
සර් දෙවෙනි එකට උත්තරේ දැම්මද? දැන් හදපු එකට.
නෑ තාම අපි ගත්තේ නෑ.
හරි.
තාම කෝඩ් කරේ නෑ අපි. Yes, and others, I hope you are doing it. So Kushanidua, Lakindu, Minidi, I hope it is okay with you all. Right. Mihin, are you done or do you want more time?
සර් මම අර අනිත් විදිහට හදලා එවන්න.
Ha, එවන්න.
හරිද?
All right. Okay, Mihin, let's discuss it. So then you will realize. Now, in the second one, what I'm asking is the same thing that we have done to the second way of the first question, right? We are asking to take these three numbers at the outside the function, right? So I'll take it to the outside. Here we go. So I'm taking x, y, and z at the outside of the function. So now I can call right? I can call the function, but when I'm calling the function, I need to pass these things, x, y, and z, right? So when I'm passing these things, there should be 3 people to catch that. So I'll take it as A, B, and C. So my total is going to be what? A plus B plus C. Right? That's the only thing that you have to do as a changes. So you take inputs at the outside, call in the function with these 3 variables. Mihin, did you get that? Mihin, last part means to have the same result means Mihin, like in the previous one, if you are given a particular value, it's going to give you a result, no? So I'm asking you to change the modify or rewrite the question to have that same result again. උදාහරණයක් විදිහට කලින් example එකේ 10 20 30 දුන්නම හම්බෙන්නේ 20 නම් මේකෙත් program එක වෙනස් කරාට same result එක එන්න ඕනේ.
සර් මම අර ප්‍රශ්නේ හදලා එවුවා කොහොම?
හරි එන්න බලන්න. Right, නිර්මාණ කෝ බලමු. නිර්මාණ පාස් කරන එක හරි. හැබැයි function definition එකේ මෙන්න මේ catch කරන ටික නැහැ. ඒ කියන්නේ දැන් මෙතනින් මෙහෙම xyz පාස් කරාම එයාව catch කරන්න කෙනෙක් ඉන්න ඕනේ මේක ඇතුලේ. එහෙම නැති වුණොත් syntax error එකක් දෙනවා. දෙන error එක තමයි ඔයා call කරලා තියෙනවා function එකකට parameters 3ක් තියෙන. නමුත් එහෙම එකක් නෙවෙයි මෙතන තියෙන්නේ කියලා. clear the නිර්මාණ.
සෙදුඩ error එක හදන්න ඕනේ කොතනින්ද මට එන්නේ ඒකයි ප්‍රශ්නේ.
error එක හදන්නේ ඔයාගේ calling statement එකේ variable 3ක් values 3ක් වා මෙතන දෙනවා නම් මේ definition එකේ parameter list එකේ variables 3ක් තියෙන්න ඕන. දැන් ඔයාගේ parameter list එක බැලුවම තියෙන his parameter list එකක් නේ. තේරුණාද?
හරි සර්.
හරි.
I can sir def total කියන තැනටද?
අන්නෝ. ඒ කියන්නේ definition එක තියෙන තැන අපි define කරනකොට කියන්න ඕනේ මේ .av කියන එක්කෙනා 3 දෙනෙක් ගන්න පුළුවන් එක්කෙනෙක් කියලා. ඒක නිසා තමයි මේ calling statement එකේදී 3ක් අපිට දෙන්න පුළුවන් වෙන්නේ.
ඔව් සර්. සර් එතෙන්ට xyz කියලා දැම්මත් වැරද්දක් නැහැ නේද? මම කලින් යටගත්තු variable.
ඔව් මෙහෙමයි. ඔව් දැම්මට වැරද්දක් නැහැ. හැබැයි වඩා හොඳයි වෙන variables 3ක් දානවා නම් එතකොට ඒ variables 3ත් එක්ක තමයි මේ ඇතුලේ කට්ටිය handle වෙන්නේ.
හරි සර් තමයි abc කියලා දැම්ම මේ එතකොට ඒක හැදුවොත් හරියද? එතන.
ඔව් මෙතන abc කියලා දාලා ඔයාගේ ඇතුලේ calculation එක තියෙනවනේ.
ඔව් සර්.
ඇතුලේ calculation එක xyz කියලා නෙවෙයි එහෙමනොත් යන්න ඕනේ abc කියලා. ඒ කියන්නේ මෙතන ඉන්නේ කවුද? ඒ කට්ටියව පාවිච්චි කරගෙන තමයි මේක ඇතුලේ calculations ටික ඉතින් ඉස්සරහට සිද්ධ වෙන්නේ.
හරි සර්.
තේරුණා?
හරි.
Right. Okay, so if you are done with this, you can exit the session for today, right? I'm going to end the session from here. By next week, we have another 2 segments to go regarding the functions, right? And I'm going to talk about that as well, right? So thank you very much, everyone. I will see you on next Tuesday for the very same time. Still, we are doing online, right? So it is going to be an online session, right? So thank you very much, everyone. Have a very good night. I'll see you on next Tuesday. Right? Okay, everyone. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
So එතකොට මේ ඩෙෆ්ටෝට්